Well, good day, viewers. Today we have a 2013, at least I believe it's a 13, Hyundai. What model is this? Santa Fe. And the complaint is the battery goes dead. Usually overnight, and he has to boost it to start it. Now, this has been an ongoing problem for at least a year, maybe more. It's got 193,000 kilometers on it. There's no warning lights on. And of course, it starts fine now. They just drove it here. What's been done? It's had 2 batteries replaced and the alternator replaced. Now, I'm not sure if it's just got a starter problem and him boosting it just overcomes whatever electrical anomaly is in the starter control circuit and it starts. He did say that when the battery won't start the engine, the headlights and the interior lights still work. Now, I notice this interior light is disabled, but the one in the back is working. Now, I was going to set it up to do a parasitic draw test. My test involves putting a disconnect switch in the battery negative post and using an ammeter to read the current flow, but I want to scan it for network codes prior to doing that, because disconnecting the battery is going to obviously reset some computers and clear some fault codes. So we're going to set up the scan tool and do a network code scan and see if there's any low voltage codes in any computers, which would concur with his symptom of the battery going dead. So I'm all set up to do a network scan on this vehicle. It may auto ID the vehicle. And it's got 195,000 roughly. So let's do a network code scan, and it's a pre-scan because I haven't done anything. They want it done key on engine off, so I'm going to put a battery maintainer on it and do it key on engine off. So I put a clean battery charger on it and set it at 13 volts. It's showing 12 volts at the DLC connector right now. If you put a fast charger on it, it'll set voltage codes for high voltage in most cases. So we're doing a network code scan, key on engine off. I turned the heater fan off. No engine codes, no transmission codes. Variant coding error in the anti-lock brake system. Motor current excessive, battery voltage low. So there's one suggestion that the battery was actually low at some time. Passenger occupant detection system communication error, battery voltage low. So there's 2 computers that have reported low battery voltage at some time. 4-wheel drive controller, CAN bus off, ECU, ITM malfunction, torque control signal fail, actuator position sensor, EMC opener short to battery. Now, obviously, if the battery is low, multiple computers will stop communicating. It'll create all kinds of network problems. That's 5 controllers so far. This network code scan is not super fast. So the end of the network scan retrieved codes from 5 controllers, and 2 of them report history codes for low voltage. So I'm going to do a network code clear because I've got a record of these codes. Nothing in the ECM requiring me to look at freeze frame data or anything. And the other computers don't support that. And then we're going to put a disconnect switch in the negative cable and check it for a parasitic draw. And I'm going to park it outside and leave it sitting overnight with the ammeter recording just to see if I can see anything unusual. Well, that network code cleared, considering there's only 5 controllers, was painfully slow. So we're going to set up the disconnect switch in the negative battery cable post to cable. So I've got this disconnect switch wired in series between the negative battery post and the negative cable, and I've got the switch in the on position right now. I've actually after connecting it, started the vehicle, ran the vehicle, and shut it off, took the key out of the ignition. Now, this is not a smart key, so you don't have to worry about removing it from the car, but the key is sitting on the seat. The door is closed, and with the disconnect switch off, I'm reading 0.004 amps. When I turn, with the disconnect switch on, when I turn the disconnect switch off, it's going to instantly put the current through the ammeter, and I'll read the current draw. And it's 196 milliamps, you can see it there. But I do have my diagnostic scanner interface plugged into the DLC, and I left it plugged in purposely because I knew that that would create a slight parasitic draw. You can see the LED light on from the Vera Scan Tool interface. So I'm reaching under here and unplugging it. And we're going to go back and see what the parasitic draw has dropped to. Oh, look at that, 0.02, 25 milliamps. So I'm going to change the resolution of this thing now. So about 20 milliamps. So there's no parasitic draw now, but that doesn't mean something doesn't come on by itself. So I'm going to, again, change this back to 1 amp. Because that's showing me 23 milliamps, 0.023, 0.024. And I'm going to reset the min and max. That's these values here. And then park it outside, or I'm going to park it outside and do all of this. And then let it sit for several minutes, several hours. I can plug this Vantage Pro into AC power so that it won't go dead and it won't shut off automatically. I've got a fully charged battery in here now. It's 10:48 a.m. and we'll see what I think that's the right time. No, it's out of time. It's 11 o'clock, but that's close enough. It's relative. So I'll park this thing outside. Of course, I'm going to start it. To start, I'm going to turn the disconnect switch back on so that I don't blow the 10 amp fuse in this meter. I love this Vantage Pro for this purpose because it has a dedicated ammeter. The newer improved Vantage Ultra cannot do this because it does not have an ammeter built into it. You have to use an amp clamp, and amp clamps are sketchy. They drift. You have to go back and revisit them. They shut off after so many minutes of inactivity. So you can't record for a long period of time like this. I can record 24 hours, 48 hours if I want to here. So I just drove the vehicle outside and parked it, and it was showing about 265 milliamps. And now it's dropped down to 0.023 or 29, which is 29 milliamps. I'm going to reset the min-max, and then I'm going to plug this into AC power to a battery charger so that this meter doesn't go dead, and I'm going to leave it sitting here. I'll cover this up with a rag, parked outside, and we'll come back to it in a couple of hours and see what's happened. See, we hit a maximum of 56 milliamps and the minimum of 20 milliamps, and that 50 milliamps should not kill the battery. It's usually 50 milliamps is the target or less. So this thing's been sitting here since, well, according to the clock on this, 10:30, 10:45 this morning, and it's 4:12, 4:13, so several hours. The maximum draw has been 0.064. Right now it's sitting at 0.2025, which is 25 milliamps. I'm going to reset this min-max, and I'm going to leave it sitting here for tonight. And we'll start it in the morning and see. I'm starting to lean towards the possibility that it has just a starter problem. And when he boosts it, a little higher voltage to the starter might allow it to actually work. Let's see, one of these relays is probably the starter relay. Well, we'll look at that if it acts up tomorrow. So it's the next morning, roughly 12 hours. You can see at 10 o'clock is 10:56 a.m. again. And overnight, maximum current draw was 0.6066 or 66 milliamps. So there's no parasitic draw on this, or at least it's not showing one right now. I'm going to turn this switch back on. Disconnect the ammeter. And I'm going to try and start it. So let's see what happens when we try to start this thing. Well, I'm going to let it sit for another day and see what happens. Forgot to hook the ammeter back up. So it starts out at 249 milliamps. And it will drop down again. Unless the relay sticks occasionally. I did look to see if there was case histories on it. I'm going to check now again. So I've done a keyword search for parasitic draw and dead battery, or no start, no crank condition, and nothing on Identifix to suggest possible causes. And talking with the customer, he didn't say there was any other weird things like stuff that didn't work. No, there's some recalls on TSPs, dealer battery maintenance, power steering gearbox, evap, recreational towing, alignment specs, remote engine start control module, fuse and jumper settings, battery maintenance for pre-delivery, and 2 more, alignment requirements and best practices. Well, let it sit for another day and see what happens. What a beautiful spring we're having this winter. Freezing rain. Well, I left this thing sitting for another night. And 29 milliamps of current draw. Let's see if it starts. Oh, brother. Where's the key? Okay, let's see what it'll do now with the... Starts fine. No problem. Starts fine. Oh well. I talked to this customer. Well, it's another fine spring day here in Northern Ontario. We're going to try this Hyundai. See how it starts this morning. It's obviously snowing. Let's see what's going on here. Key in the ignition. Well, I don't know what to tell this customer. Can't fix it if it isn't broken, I guess. That's the bottom line. 193,000. I suppose it could have an intermittent starter problem, but this is the day 3 and it started fine. Well, I'll discuss this with the customer and see what he wants to do.